Hello everybody, it's Tarun. Welcome to your ninth tutorial in the HTML course. In this tutorial, I'll start with generic elements which are div and span elements. Then I'll teach you about ID and class attributes. Then moving forward, I'll teach you something called classification with class. And then we'll end this unit. So let's get started with generic elements, div and span. What if none of the elements we have talked about so far accurately describes our content? After all, there are endless types of information which are there in the world. But as you have seen, not all the semantic elements, all that many semantic elements can do our required operation. Fortunately, HTML provides two generic elements that can be customized to describe our content perfectly. Okay, and these two elements are div and span. Okay, these are the two elements which I am talking about. The div element indicates a division of content, and span indicates a word or phrase for which no text level element currently exists. And the generic elements are given meaning with and context with ID and class attributes, which we will discuss in a moment. The div and span elements have no inherent presentation qualities of their own, but you can use style sheets to format them however you like. In fact, generic elements are a primary tool in standards based web design because they enable authors to accurately describe content and offer plenty of hooks for adding style rules. They also allow elements on the page to be accessed and manipulated by JavaScript. So we are going to spend a little time on div and span and as well as ID and class attributes and learn how authors use them to structure content. So first of all, we are going to divide the content with the div. The div element is used to create a logical grouping of content or elements on the page. It indicates that they belong together in some sort of conceptual unit or should be treated as a unit by CSS or JavaScript. By marking related content as a div and giving it a unique ID or say identifier that it is a part of a class, and you will give context to the elements in the grouping. So let's look at an example of div element. In this example, a div element is used as a container to group an image and two paragraphs into a product listing. Okay, so I'm going to change the image name here because I don't have this image. So if I go ahead and save it, now let's see what happens in our browser. Okay, you can see that the browser shows us something like this. Okay, by putting those elements inside a div, I have made it clear that they are conceptually related, and it will allow me to style two paragraph elements. Okay, here within listing differently other than paragraphs on the page. So here I am going to tell you another common use of div, which is used to break a page into sections for layout purposes. In the next example, a heading and several paragraphs are enclosed in a div and identifies as the news division. So let me show you the example. So let's save and run it in the browser. Now that I have an element known as news, I could use a style sheet to position it as a column to the right or to the left of the page. You might be thinking how you could a section element could use a section element for that. Well, we could have used the section element for that. In fact, authors may turn to generic div list now that we have better semantic grouping in HTML5. So this was all about div. So now let's get in line with span. A span offers the same benefits as the div element, except it is used for phrase elements and does not introduce line breaks. Because spans are inline elements, they can only contain text and other inline elements. In other words, you cannot put headings, lists, content grouping elements, and so on in a span. So let's get to some examples. There is no telephone element, but we can use a span to give meaning to telephone numbers in a like following example. In the example, each telephone number is marked up as a span and classified as tel. Okay, here every uh, telephone number is marked up as span, as you can see here, and classified as tel. You can see how classified span add meanings to what otherwise might be a random string of digits. So if I go ahead and save it and run it in the browser, so you can see it like this. As a bonus, the span elements enable us to apply the same style to phone numbers throughout the website. For example, ensuring line breaks never happen within them, using a CSS white space, no wrap declaration. Okay, I'm talking about this declaration in the style sheets. It makes information recognizable not only to the humans but to computer programs also, that know that TEL is a telephone number information. In fact, some values including TEL have been standardized in a markup system known as microinformats that makes web content more useful to software. So now let's move forward to the attributes ID and class. In the previous examples, we saw the ID and class attributes used to provide context to generic div and span elements. ID and class have different purposes, however, and it's important to know the difference between them. So ID stands for identification. The ID attribute is used to assign a unique identifier to an element in the document. In other words, the value of ID must be used only once in the document. This makes it useful for assigning a name to a particular element as though it were a piece of data. Uh, the example which I am going to tell you is using the book's ISBN numbers to uniquely identify each listing. No two book listings may share the same ID. So let me show you the example. Okay, so here you can see that for every book I have different IDs. Okay, so if I go ahead and save it and now let me run it, so you can see that uh, it has different attributes for every book. Okay, so now let's see classification with class. The class attribute classifies elements into conceptual groups. Therefore, unlike the ID attribute, multiple elements may share a class name. By making elements part of the same class, you can apply styles to all of the labeled elements at once with a single style rule or manipulate them with a script. Let's start by classifying some elements in the earlier example of the books. In this example, I have added class attributes to classify each div as a listing to and to classified paragraphs as description. So let's save it and run it. Okay, and notice how the same element may both have a class and an ID. So here you can see that an element of one book is having ID and class also, and the class of all the elements is same in the as the listing. Okay, and when there is a list of class values, simply separate them with character spaces. In the next example, I have classified each div as a book to set them apart from possible CD or DVD listings elsewhere in the document. So let me show you the example. So here I have used ID different for every book, and I have used class or listing book. Okay, so if I go ahead, save it, and then if I run it, so you can see here that there is nothing has been changed. So this should have given you a good introduction of how and div span elements with class and ID attributes are used to add an meaning and organization to documents. We'll work with them even more when we learn about style sheets in the CSS course. So there is one tip for you, that the ID attribute is used to identify and the class attribute is used to classify. Okay, so this was all from my side in this tutorial, and as I did with the first unit, I have attached some questions to do for you. You can practice them by going through the tutorials first, and then there are some questions also which require some coding also, HTML coding. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial where I'll start unit 3.